A woman told a date that he was not a gentleman after he spent over $200 on their dinner because he wouldn't pay for her Uber to the restaurant. The man from the date shared his side of the story on Reddit, saying that the two went to their first date at a nice restaurant and he was more than happy to cover the bill.
Spending $200 on a date and still not having that be enough is wild to me and reeks of entitlement. The dating game is a mess right now, with no one knowing what they should or shouldn't do on a first date, especially when people aren't forthcoming about the things they expect. Before we get into the drama for today and women complaining about their struggles when it comes to dating, hit that subscribe button because it really helps the channel, and I thank you in advance. And with that out of the way, let's get into the mess.
Can we just please normalize coffee dates as being 110% acceptable? Like, no, you just need to find out, like, is this person normal? Like, can we carry on a conversation enough to then go on like a proper, really awesome second date? And also, coffee dates give you an easy out, especially if you don't know this person very well or you're just meeting from the app. Like, you don't know what they're about. So like, yes, can we just please go back to coffee dates as being okay?
This is exactly my take when it comes to the whole coffee date thing when you're first meeting someone you met online. You have no idea what things are going to be like when you're in person. And just like she said, if things go well, then you can take things to the next level. But the woman in this next clip doesn't agree with this stance at all.
If one more person asks me out on a coffee date or a walking date, I'm going to lose it. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with a walking date or a coffee date. However, that should be 4th, 5th, 6th date in. I should already be comfortable with you. Why do you think that's a good idea for a first date? Please explain it to me.
Because like the woman said in the first clip, we have no idea as to whether we're actually going to get along, so I'd like to see what you're like in person. Now, if I met a woman for the first time because she was introduced to me by a friend, or we got to talking in real life, the coffee date thing wouldn't really be needed, because me meeting you in real life is the coffee date. If I ask you out after that, it's because I already know that you're someone I get along with in person, so now we can start moving things forward.
Also, it's -2 degrees outside. Why do you think I'm going to leave my beautiful apartment to come and gallivant around London with you? If I turned up to that date in tracksuits, you would cuss me out.
If we're doing the whole coffee thing, honestly, I couldn't care less about what you're wearing. As long as you're presentable, that's enough for me. I can't speak for other guys, but personally, I'd prefer to know what a woman looks like on her day-to-day. Because if things do work out between us, that's what I'd be seeing.
But let's be honest here, why am I making effort to walk around London in the freezing cold? Why would I do that? And then when I politely declined, this man had the audacity to call me bougie. Sorry? Because I don't want to walk outside in the freezing cold. Cool. Am I supposed to be offended by that? Okay, I'm bougie. Can we just normalise making effort and actually planning real dates? Like, just ask somebody what they're into, what their interests are, what their hobbies are. If you spoke to me enough, if you asked me enough questions prior to asking me out, you would know the kind of things I'm into, you would know what I want to do. You've made no effort to do any of that. So, get gone.
When you're going on a coffee date, who said you have to walk around anywhere? All we're doing is going to a place so we can get to know each other more and to see if we vibe in person just as much as we do online.
I saw a clip of this guy who said he went on a first date and the woman asked, what's your most expensive wine, to the waiter.
Immediately, that date would have been canceled and everyone would be going home, including the waiter if he dared to even entertain her question. This sounds like the type of woman who'd happily bleed your account dry. Can you imagine what sort of hell would break loose if you were to ever get divorced from someone like this?
If a woman did that in front of me, we're starting, it's getting uncomfortable.
The most expensive is £2,000.
I can't afford that.
It's going to be awkward after that, isn't it?
I'm sorry, she's already brought it over to the awkward sector. We're all looking around feeling awkward here because you're asking for £2,000 bottle. Hold on, what's her reaction when he says £2,000 bottle of wine?
I'll have that one, please.
Sorry, waiter. Don't go anywhere. I can't afford that. So
What?
Are you paying for that?
You can't afford a bottle of wine.
For $2,000?
What kind of man are you?
Are you being serious right now, or are you like literally just testing waters here?
You know what? Forget the wine.
Yeah, do forget the wine.
Just bring me water, please.
But you see, now you're getting angry. Now you're taking the piss. We can have wine, but you don't need water. Now you're just saying,
I'll have water, please.
Right. I feel like we got off to a bad start. Would you like a drink, an alcoholic beverage?
No, I'm all right, thank you.
Are we still gonna go back and do something?
Do what?
Would you? Are you still? Would you consider having sex with me?
Not a chance.
While I don't think this sort of thing happens very often, this is most definitely the sort of person you want to steer clear of if you care about your financial situation at all. It may be that you have the money, and spending $2,000 or pounds on a drink means nothing to you, but for the rest of us, we've got to count our pennies to make sure we can survive another day.
I was a little surprised when he took me up on it, but I got my wallet out, I brought my card. You just don't see it very often where I offer to pay for half of the dinner or drinks and then he takes me up on it.
You know what? With how I'm feeling right now, I'd take her up on it too, because I'm sick and tired of people saying stuff they don't mean. So I'd definitely be going down the petty route and asking her to split that bill.
The whole finance part of dating is probably one of the most confusing parts for me and the part that gives me the most anxiety. It is a little bit unfair of me to offer to pay half of the bill, but then when the guy takes me up on it, I don't talk to him again.
Yeah, if you didn't have any intention of paying, keep your mouth closed and stop pretending. People always talk about how women are the best communicators, but they never seem to be able to speak their mind when it matters most.
It is a bit of a red flag if a guy doesn't pay for the first date. Do you expect it on the first date? And if you don't do it, I'm not gonna talk to you again. When you're on a date and the check comes, do you offer to pay?
If you don't intend on paying, don't act like you are, or act like it's something you're okay with. What's so hard about that? Use your adult brain and speak your mind.
A woman told a date that he was not a gentleman after he spent over $200 on their dinner because he wouldn't pay for her Uber to the restaurant. The man from the date shared his side of the story on Reddit, saying that the two went to their first date at a nice restaurant and he was more than happy to cover the bill. She had Ubered to the restaurant and he offered to drive her home. She said sure and then asked if he could drive her to pick up some skincare products at a market and she would Uber from there. He obliged, even though that's a little weird, right? And then he even offered to drive her home from the market. Funnily enough, her credit card declined at the market. As they pulled up to her place, she asked if he would pay her back for the Uber that she had taken to the restaurant. He had originally offered to pick her up, but she didn't want a stranger to have her address, so he understood why she Ubered, but he didn't know how to respond to her request for money. He said he would send the money over the phone, and then things got really awkward via text when he said that he was really put off by the request for money and that he thinks they should go their separate ways. The date clapped back saying that she's never had to ask a guy because they usually care or offer without her even having to mention it.
And that, my friends, is pure entitlement.
It's fine for these two to go their own ways if they aren't a good fit based on their expectations. But it does have us asking, should a man pay for Ubers for dates? It doesn't seem like there's a right or wrong answer. According to a recent NerdWallet survey, 72% of Americans say that the man should pay for the first date. But dating experts believe that whoever extends the invitation should pick up the bill. This man definitely did his part by paying for the meal, but is the Uber ride technically part of the date or not? What do you think?
There's no difference when you say that the man should pay for the date or the person who extends the invitation, because 99% of the time, it's going to be the guy asking. Now, I don't know about you guys, but $200 isn't what I'd class as a cheap date. But maybe I'm just dusty like that. The fact that her card got declined is her problem, and if her finances aren't in the best shape, maybe she should focus on that rather than buying skincare products or even going on dates. Men are always expected to pay up front when it comes to dating, which is fine. But since women have the ability to make their own way in the world and want to be independent and all that, they should be able and willing to cover their own costs. I get that she didn't want the guy to know where she lived since she didn't really know him, but it was her decision to make her own way to the restaurant, so she should be responsible for that. Am I crazy? Or do you guys agree? Let me know in the comments. It's like she just expects everything to be handed to her, making this whole thing sound and feel like more of an extraction process than anything else. But yeah, if you have anything to add, share your thoughts down below.